Marcus stared at the crumpled piece of paper in his hand. His New Year's resolutions from 11 months ago. Lose 30 pounds. Start a business. Read 50 books. Learn Spanish. The same goals he'd written for the past 5 years, and the same goals that had remained unfulfilled for the past 5 years. His reflection in the gym mirror told the story. Still overweight. Still stuck in his dead-end job. Still speaking only English. And still surrounded by the same stack of unread books, collecting dust on his nightstand. At 32, Marcus had become a master of starting and a champion of quitting. Every January brought renewed enthusiasm, every February brought excuses, and every December brought disappointment. He'd joined gyms only to stop going after 3 weeks. He'd started businesses only to abandon them when the initial excitement wore off. He'd downloaded language apps only to delete them when the lessons became challenging. The pattern was as predictable as it was frustrating. That evening, while scrolling through his phone in defeat, Marcus stumbled upon a podcast interview with Dr. Sarah Chen, a behavioral psychologist who had helped thousands transform their lives. Her words cut through his self-pity like a blade. Most people fail not because they lack willpower, but because they're trying to rely on motivation alone. Winners don't just set goals, they build systems that make success inevitable. The concept hit him like lightning. Marcus had always focused on the destination, the 30 pounds lost. The business launched, the books read, but never on the vehicle that would take him there. He'd been trying to sail across an ocean with no compass, no map, and no understanding of how boats actually worked. Goals were dreams with deadlines, but systems were dreams with blueprints. Dr. Chen continued, a goal is wanting to lose weight. A system is the daily habits that make weight loss automatic. A goal is wanting to be rich. A system is the daily practices that build wealth. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Marcus frantically took notes, his mind racing with possibilities. That night, instead of writing another list of goals, Marcus did something different. He grabbed a notebook and began designing systems. Instead of lose 30 pounds, he wrote, become the type of person who moves their body every day. Instead of start a business, he wrote, become the type of person who creates value daily. Instead of read 50 books, he wrote, become the type of person who learns something new every day. The shift in language was subtle, but profound. Goals focused on outcomes he couldn't directly control. Systems focused on actions he could control completely. Goals were about who he wanted to become someday. Systems were about who he could become today, tomorrow, and every day after that. As he closed the notepad, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Not the fleeting high of motivation, but the steady burn of determination. He wasn't just planning to change his life, he was engineering it. For the first time, he understood that transformation wasn't about finding the willpower to achieve his goals. It was about building systems so robust that willpower became irrelevant. The old Marcus would have waited until Monday to start, or until the new year, or until conditions were perfect. But the new Marcus, the systems thinking Marcus, understood that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time was right now. The next morning, Marcus woke up, not to the blare of his usual alarm, but to the gentle hum of his phone's sleep cycle tracker, the first component of his new system. Instead of reaching for his phone to scroll through social media, he had placed it in the bathroom the night before, forcing himself to get out of bed to turn it off. This simple environmental design eliminated his biggest morning time waster without requiring any willpower. Marcus had spent the previous evening studying the science of habit formation. He learned about habit stacking, where you attach a new behavior to an established routine. He discovered the power of environmental design, where you modify your surroundings to make good choices easier and bad choices harder. Most importantly, he understood that systems weren't about perfection, they were about progress and consistency. His first system was deceptively simple. Every morning, Immediately after turning off his alarm in the bathroom, he would put on his workout clothes. Not to exercise necessarily, but just to put them on. This tiny action served multiple purposes, used the momentum from getting out of bed. It made the next step, actually exercising, more likely, and it began to reinforce his new identity as someone who prioritizes fitness. Within 3 days, Marcus found himself naturally doing light stretches while already dressed for exercise. By the end of the week, he was taking short walks around his neighborhood. After 2 weeks, he had joined a local gym, not because he forced himself to, but because his system had naturally led him there. The clothes made the decision for him. His second system targeted his business aspirations. Instead of trying to launch a company overnight, Marcus committed to spending exactly 15 minutes each morning right after getting dressed, learning one new business concept. He didn't aim to read entire books or complete full courses. Just 15 minutes. Some days he watched YouTube videos about marketing. Other days he read articles about entrepreneurship. Some mornings he simply brainstormed business ideas in his journal. The magic wasn't in the 15 minutes themselves. It was in the compound effect. After a month, he had accumulated over 7 hours of business education. After 2 months, he had filled an entire notebook with insights and ideas. More importantly, his brain had begun to naturally spot business opportunities throughout his day. His system was rewiring his mind to think like an entrepreneur. For his reading goal, Marcus eliminated the pressure of finishing entire books. Instead, he placed a book next to his coffee maker and committed to reading 1 page while his coffee brewed. Just 1 page. Some days he read more, captivated by the content, but the minimum was always just 1 page. This removed the psychological barrier that had previously made reading feel like a chore. His Finnish learning system was equally elegant. Marcus changed his phone's language settings to Spanish and committed to looking up just 1 word he didn't understand each day. His phone became his teacher, and his curiosity became the curriculum. As he encountered Spanish words throughout his day, he began building vocabulary naturally and contextually. The transformation was remarkable, not because of dramatic changes, but because of the absence of struggle. Marcus wasn't whitening his way through difficult habits. He was surfing the current of well-designed systems. Each system was so small, it felt almost silly not to do it, yet so purposeful that each action moved him closer to his larger vision. Most surprisingly, Marcus discovered that systems created their own motivation. Instead of needing motivation to start, the act of following his systems generated energy and momentum. Success bred success. Consistency bred confidence, and small wins compounded into significant transformations. 3 months in, Marcus realized he had unconsciously become the person his goals had described, not through force, but through engineering. 6 months into his systems journey, Marcus barely recognized his former self. The man who once needed 3 alarms and still struggled to get out of bed now woke up naturally, energized, and purposeful. The transformation hadn't happened overnight, had happened over 600 nights, each one building upon the last through the power of systematic consistency. His fitness system had evolved beautifully. What began as simply putting on workout clothes had grown into a full morning routine. Wake up, turn off alarm, drink a glass of water, put on workout clothes, do 5 minutes of stretching, and head to the gym. Each step flowed naturally into the next, creating what psychologists call a ritual chain. The gym staff now greeted him by name, and his body had begun to crave the morning movement. He had lost 18 pounds without ever going on a diet. His system had naturally led him to make better food choices and stay more active. His business education system had produced unexpected results. Those 15-minute morning sessions had not only filled his mind with knowledge, but had also connected him with an online community of entrepreneurs. He had started commenting on business blogs, engaging in forums, and even began writing his own weekly newsletter about lessons learned from his daily study sessions. What started as consuming content had evolved into creating it. The newsletter, 15 Minutes to Freedom, had grown to over 300 subscribers, people who resonated with his message of small, consistent actions leading to big results. Local business owners began reaching out for advice, and Marcus realized he had unconsciously developed expertise through his systematic approach to learning. His identity had shifted from someone who dreamed about business to someone who understood business. His reading system had yielded perhaps the most surprising benefits. That single page, while coffee brewed, had led to finishing 2 books per month, through force, but through natural momentum. More importantly, Marcus had begun to see connections between ideas across different books. His thinking had become more sophisticated, his conversations more interesting, and his worldview more nuanced. He found himself naturally sharing insights with colleagues, friends, and newsletter subscribers. The Spanish system had transformed his daily commute. What once was dead time spent in traffic frustration had become immersive language practice. Marcus had discovered Spanish podcasts for beginners and had trained his ear to pick up familiar words and phrases. His phone's Spanish settings had forced him to learn technology vocabulary, and he had begun thinking in simple Spanish phrases throughout his day. But the most profound change wasn't in any specific area. It was in Marcus's relationship with challenge itself. Previously, obstacles had been reasons to quit. Now they were puzzles to solve through system design. When he struggled with consistency, he didn't blame himself for lack of discipline. He improved his system. When progress felt slow, he didn't abandon his efforts. He adjusted his process. Marcus had discovered what peak performers know, that discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do hard things. It's about designing your life so that the right things become easy. His systems had removed friction from good choices and added friction to bad ones. He had become successful not through superhuman willpower, but through superior system design. The compound effects were accelerating. His growing fitness had improved his energy levels, which enhanced his business learning, which sparked better newsletter content, which attracted more readers, which created new opportunities. His systems weren't just changing individual areas of his life, they were creating synergistic improvements across all areas. Friends and family began asking about his secret. They saw the results but couldn't understand the process. Marcus realized that most people were still trapped in the goal-setting mindset, looking for shortcuts and hacks instead of building sustainable systems. This realization planted a seed that would soon grow into something much larger than personal transformation. By month 9, Marcus had become a living case study in systematic transformation. His body had shed 26 pounds and gained muscle definition he hadn't seen since college. His morning newsletter had grown to over 2,000 subscribers, with business owners across 3 continents implementing his systematic approaches. He was conversing in basic Spanish with the growing Hispanic population in his neighborhood, and his reading habit had expanded his mind in ways he never thought possible. But the most significant development was unexpected. People were paying him for advice. It started small. A colleague offered him $50 to help design a system for better time management. A newsletter subscriber paid him $200 for a 1-hour consultation on building consistent business habits. A neighbor hired him to create a fitness system that would work for busy parents. Marcus realized he had accidentally built a consulting practice by becoming a master of systematic improvement. The irony wasn't lost on him. While trying to solve his own problems through systems thinking, he had unconsciously created a system for helping others solve theirs. His newsletter had become his marketing, his personal transformation had become his credentials, and his systematic approach had become his unique methodology. Marcus decided to formalize what was happening naturally. He created Systems Success, coaching a service that helped people build sustainable systems for their most important goals. Unlike traditional coaching that focused on motivation and willpower, Marcus helped clients engineer their environments and routines for inevitable success. His first official client was Sarah, a marketing executive who had been trying to write a book for 3 years. Instead of helping her find time to write, Marcus helped her build a system that made writing automatic. They placed a notebook and pen next to her car keys, with the commitment to write just 1 sentence before leaving for work each morning. Within 6 weeks, Sarah had written more than in the previous 3 years combined. By month 4, she had completed her first draft. His second client was James, an entrepreneur whose fitness goals always fell victim to business demands. Marcus didn't tell James to wake up earlier or find more time. Instead, he helped James build a system that integrated fitness with business activities, walking meetings, standing desk setup, resistance bands in his office, and a policy of doing 10 push-ups before checking email. James lost 15 pounds in 3 months without stepping foot in a gym. Each client's success reinforced Marcus's understanding of a fundamental truth. People don't fail because they lack information or even motivation. They fail because they lack systems. The internet was full of information about how to lose weight, build businesses, learn languages, and read more books. But information without systematic implementation was just entertainment. Marcus's approach was different. He didn't sell information. He sold transformation through system design. He helped people identify the smallest possible actions that would compound over time, then engineered their environments to make those actions automatic. His clients succeeded not because they developed superhuman discipline, but because their systems made success the path of least resistance. Word spread through the most powerful marketing channel available. Results. His clients' transformations created a ripple effect. Sarah's book got published, and she credited Marcus's system in her acknowledgments. James spoke about systematic fitness at business conferences. Other success stories generated referrals, which generated more success stories. Marcus found himself at a crossroads. His day job as a mid-level manager felt increasingly irrelevant compared to the impact he was creating through his coaching practice. His systems had not only transformed his life, they had become the foundation for transforming others' lives. The student had become the teacher. The transformed had become the transformer. The question was no longer whether his systems worked. The evidence was overwhelming. The question was whether he had the courage to build his life around them. Standing in his transformed apartment, organized, energizing, designed for success, Marcus made a decision that would define the next chapter of his story. The decision came on a Tuesday morning in October, during Marcus's now sacred 15-minute business learning session. He was reading about the concept of opportunity cost, the value of the best alternative foregone when making a choice. As he sat in his kitchen, coffee brewing and notebook open, the mathematics of his situation became crystal clear. His day job was consuming 45 hours per week and generating decent but uninspiring income. His coaching practice was consuming 10 hours per week and generating not just better income per hour, but profound fulfillment and exponential growth potential. More importantly, every hour spent in his corporate role was an hour not spent building something that truly mattered. Marcus had spent months building systems for others to overcome their fears and limitations. Now he needed to apply those same principles to the biggest leap of his life. He designed a system for his career transition with the same methodical approach he'd used for everything else. Instead of quitting impulsively, he created a 90-day systematic exit strategy. He would build his coaching practice to replace 75% of his corporate income before giving notice. He established specific milestones: 15 clients by day 30, 25 clients by day 60, and 35 clients by day 90. The system worked with remarkable efficiency. His newsletter subscribers had grown to over 5,000, creating a natural pipeline of potential clients. He standardized his coaching methodology into a replicable program called the Systems Success Method, allowing him to help more people with less individual customization. He created online courses, group coaching programs, and systematic tools that generated passive income while he slept. By day 60, Marcus had exceeded his income replacement goal. His client roster included entrepreneurs, executives, students, and parents from 15 different countries. His systematic approach to life transformation had become a global movement. People weren't just buying his services, they were buying into his philosophy that sustainable change comes through system design, not willpower. The resignation conversation with his boss was surreal. Marcus had spent 5 years feeling trapped in that office, dreaming of escape but never having a plan. Now he was walking away, not in desperation, but in confidence. His systems had created options, and options created freedom. His first day as a full-time entrepreneur felt different than he had imagined. There was no dramatic celebration or sudden rush of liberation. Instead, there was the quiet satisfaction of systems working exactly as designed. His morning routine remained the same: wake up naturally, turn off alarm, drink water, put on workout clothes, exercise, shower, and begin his day. The only difference was that his entire day now aligned with his values and vision. The business grew systematically. Marcus applied his systems thinking to every aspect: client acquisition systems, content creation systems, delivery systems, and financial management systems. He wasn't building a business through hustle and grinding. He was engineering sustainable growth through intelligent design. 6 months after leaving his corporate job, Marcus was earning more than his previous annual salary and working half the hours. But the numbers, while satisfying, weren't the real victory. The real victory was the alignment between his daily actions and his deepest values. Every day he woke up excited to help people transform their lives through better systems. His client success stories had become case studies in systematic transformation. Maria, a single mother, had built a system for completing her nursing degree while working full-time. David, a retiree, had created a system for learning piano that led to him performing at local venues. Jennifer, a corporate executive, had designed a system for family time that strengthened her marriage and relationship with her children. Each success story reinforced Marcus's core belief: people are not broken and don't need fixing. They simply need better systems. When you change the system, you change the results automatically. When you change the results consistently, you change your identity permanently. Marcus realized he had not just built a business, he had built a movement. The system's success method was spreading beyond his direct clients through word of mouth, social media, and the transformed lives of people who had learned to think systematically about change. But the most profound realization was personal. He had become the person he had always wanted to be, not through force or willpower, but through the gentle, relentless power of well-designed systems. 2 years after his transformation began, Marcus stood before an audience of 300 entrepreneurs at the National Business Growth Summit. The same man who once struggled to maintain basic habits was now teaching others how to engineer success. The irony wasn't lost on him. His greatest professional achievement had come from learning to think systematically about personal achievement. Goals are important, Marcus told the audience, but they're just destinations on a map. Systems are the vehicle that actually gets you there. Most people spend their lives staring at the destination, wondering why they're not moving forward. Winners build the vehicle first. His presentation was filled with real transformations. Lisa, who had built a system for daily content creation that grew her social media following from 0 to 50,000 in 18 months. Robert, whose systematic approach to networking had landed him 3 board positions and doubled his business revenue. Amanda, who had designed a system for work-life balance that allowed her to build a 7-figure company while never missing her children's school events. But Marcus's favorite story was about Tom, a 72-year-old retiree who had used systematic thinking to learn digital marketing and launch an online business that was now generating 6 figures annually. Age is just a number. Tom had told Marcus. Systems work at any stage of life because they're based on consistency, not intensity. The systems success method had evolved far beyond Marcus's original consulting practice. He had written a book that became a bestseller in 3 countries. His online courses had helped over 10,000 people build life-changing systems. His podcast, Systems Over Goals, was downloaded by millions of people seeking sustainable transformation rather than quick fixes. Universities had begun inviting Marcus to speak about systematic behavior change. Corporate clients hired him to help their teams build systems for productivity, innovation, and professional development. The methodology that had started as a personal experiment had become a research-backed approach to human performance optimization, but success hadn't changed Marcus's daily systems. He still woke up without an alarm, still did his morning routine, still dedicated time to learning, reading, and physical fitness. The difference was that these systems now supported a life of profound impact and alignment, rather than quiet desperation and unfulfilled potential. His morning newsletter, now reaching over 50,000 subscribers weekly, had become a platform for sharing not just his insights, but the success stories of a global community of systems thinkers. People from every continent shared how systematic approaches had transformed their health, relationships, careers, and personal growth. Marcus often reflected on the moment that had started it all, staring at that crumpled piece of paper filled with broken resolutions. The old Marcus had been focused on outcomes he couldn't control, losing exactly 30 pounds, reading precisely 50 books, launching a perfect business. The new Marcus had learned to focus on processes he could control completely, moving his body daily, learning something new every day, creating value consistently. The compound effects had been extraordinary. His fitness system had given him energy that enhanced every other area of his life. His learning system had created expertise that became his business foundation. His business system had generated freedom that allowed him to help others systematically. Each system had reinforced and amplified the others, creating exponential rather than linear growth. Standing on that stage, looking out at faces filled with the same hope and frustration he had once felt, Marcus delivered his closing message. The life you want isn't on the other side of a goal, it's on the other side of a system. Goals tell you where you want to go. Systems get you there. Stop setting goals you hope to achieve. Start building systems that make success inevitable. As applause filled the auditorium, Marcus smiled at the beautiful irony of his journey. In learning to focus on the process rather than the outcome, he had achieved outcomes beyond his wildest dreams. In building systems for personal transformation, he had transformed thousands of other lives. In becoming systematic about his own growth, he had grown into someone who could systematically help others grow. The boy who once failed at every resolution had become the man who taught others that resolution without system is just wishful thinking, but system without resolution creates inevitable transformation. Marcus had learned the ultimate truth about human potential. We don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And when you build better systems, you don't just achieve better results, you become a better person. The standing ovation continued as Marcus walked off the stage, not toward a finish line, but toward tomorrow's system and all the transformation it would bring.